John plays a mountain for turn and starts us off by casting Spear Spewer before passing. Tom plays a forest, Soul Ring combo, then passes to Extra. Extra decides to one-up Tom and plays a Tainted Woods into a Soul Ring of his own, before capping off his turn with a Mesmeric Orb. He passes to Sam, who only plays a Plains, before ending his turn. John mills 1 to Mesmeric Orb, he plays a Mountain and a Fellwar Stone, then passes. Tom mills 1 to Orb, he casts his commander, Huatli, Poet of Unity, putting a Plains into his hand. He then plays a tapped Stomping Ground, before passing to Extra. Extra mills 2 to Orb, he casts Perpetual Timepiece to keep the mill train going. Plays the Fabled Passage as his land for turn, then passes. Sam plays an island, then casts Ichor Wellspring, drawing a card as it enters. He passes it back to John. John first mills 2 to Orb, he plays a mountain, then taps out for his commander, Ojer Axonil. Once it resolves, he taps Spear Spewer, dealing 4 to each of his opponents thanks to Ojer Axonil and only 1 damage to himself. He passes the turn to Tom. Tom mills 3 to Orb, he plays Fury Calm Snarl for turn, revealing the Plains he tutored to have it enter untapped. He activates Huatli, transforming her into Roar of the Fifth People. The Saga's first ability triggers, making 2 3/3 dinos. He moves to his end step, at which point Extra taps his Tainted Wood for mana, and mills himself for 2 with Perpetual Timepiece. The turn then moves to Extra. Extra mills 3 to Orb, all 3 of those cards being permanents, putting his descent count at 3. He mills another 2 with Timepiece, with 1 of them being a permanent this time, putting his descent at 4. He sacks his Fabled Passage, putting his descent at 5, and getting a Swamp from his library. He plays a Death Cap Glade for turn, he then casts his commander, the Mycotyrant, then passes a turn. Mycotyrant triggers on EOT, making 5 1/1 fungi and growing it to 6/6. The turn then moves to Sam. Sam mills 2 to Orb, he plays an island, then casts his own commander, Abuelo, Ancestral Echo. Sam passes. John mills 5 to Orb, he plays a mountain, then casts Fiery Confluence, choosing to destroy both Soul Rings on the field and deal 1 damage to each creature, killing all of Extra's tokens and his Mycotyrant. He then burns the table with Spear Spewer for the 2nd time, then passes to Tom. Tom mills 3 to the Orb. After his draw step, Roar of the Fifth People gets a counter, letting Tom's creatures tap for 1 mana of Naya colors. Tom plays a Plains, then casts Rhythm of the Wild. He follows it up with a Tranquil Thrillback, giving it haste with Rhythm. With the Thrillback's ETB still on the stack, he taps it for green to pay for its ability once, choosing to destroy John's Fellwar Stone. Tom then passes to Extra. Extra mills 4 to the Orb. He casts Old Rootstain, milling a land and making a treasure. He plays a tapped Necroblossom Snarl, then passes to Sam. Sam mills 3 to the Orb. He plays a Plains, then gets a tapped island by casting Sublime Simulacrum. He swings Abuelo at John, who declares no blocks, and passes. John mills 5 to the Orb. He plays a mountain and an Arcane Signet. He activates Spear Spewer, dealing 4 to his opponents and 1 to himself. He swings Ojer Axonil at Tom, then passes the turn. Tom mills 7 to the Orb. After his draw step, Roar of the Fifth People gets a counter, and Tom tutors for Atali, Primal Conqueror, into his hand. He casts Atali, and once it enters, each player exiles from the top until they hit a non-land card. Tom then casts these cards for free, starting with Underrealm Lich, then following with Inspiring Overseer, gaining 1 life, and replacing the normal draw with the Lich's ability, then casting Guttersnipe, and ending with Kadama's Reach, getting 2 forests. All 3 creatures and Atali also gain haste from Rhythm of the Wild. Tom then plays a forest for turn, and casts Runic Armasaur, and Ranging Raptors, also having them gain haste. Tom then passes to Extra. On Extra's upkeep, he mills a creature to Old Rutstain, making a 1/1 insect, then mills 4 cards to Mesmeric Orb, descending to a total of 5. He then dredges Golgari Grave Troll on his draw step, milling another 6 permanents. He continues by milling 2 more permanents with Perpetual Timepiece. He plays a forest for turn, finally extra recasts the Mycotyrant, then passes, making a whopping 13 fungi on end of turn. On Sam's turn, he forgets to mill, despite the fact that it's been the only thing he's been doing so far. He plays an island, he casts Lauren of the 3rd Path, blowing up Roar of the 5th People. He passes, and on his end step, John casts Big Score, discarding a card to draw 2 and make 2 triggers, before moving to his own turn. John first mills 8 to the orb, he burns the table with Spear Spewer once again, triggering Runic Armasaur on activation, and Tom draws with Underrealm Lich's replacement effect. John then casts Light Up the Stage, exiling 2 from the top. He plays a Mountain from Exile, casts a Soul Ring, then plays Chandra, Torch of Defiance. He pluses Chandra for 1, exiling a land off the top, and dealing 4 to each opponent. John passes to Tom. Tom mills a whopping 14 cards to the orb. He casts Garruk's Uprising, giving his creatures trample, and drawing with Underrealm Lich's replacement effect. He casts Birds of Paradise, giving them haste. He plays a tapped Jungle Shrine. He then swings a Tali at Chandra and Aspiring Overseer at John. In his second main, he casts Welcome to ... turning Mesmeric Orb and John's Soul Ring into all 4 walls. Tom then passes the turn. On Extra's upkeep, he mills a creature with Old Rutstain, making a 1/1 insect, then mills 6 to the orb, with 5 of those being permanents. He plays a command tower for turn, he mills 2 with Timepiece, milling 1 permanent in the process. He follows it up with Undead Butler, milling another 3 permanents. He then immediately sacks his Butler to pay the additional cost for Eaten Alive, exiling John's commander. The Butler also triggers on death, and Extra returns Mirkwood Bats to his hand. He casts Mirkwood Bats. He then goes to combat, attacking John with the Mycotyrant, 5 fungi, and Old Rutstain, Tom with 5 other fungi, and Sam with 3 fungi and an insect. Extra then moves to his end step, and in response, Sam activates Abuelo, exiling his Ichor Wellspring, and triggering Extra's Runic Armasaur. Extra then reaches his end step, making 12 fungi with his commander, and making his opponents lose 12 life with Mirkwood Bats, killing both John and Tom. Sam's Ichor Wellspring also returns, letting him draw a card. The turn then moves to a hopeless Sam. He mills 6 to the orb, plays a Plains, evokes Mold Drifter to draw 2, then Ghostly Flickers the Mold Drifter and Ichor Wellspring for an additional 3 cards. Finding no answers, and with lethal damage on Extra's board already, Sam concedes the game to Extra.